So reason includes things like inductive and deductive logic. This is the stuff that we build off of our axioms, right?
Can.
That's what all philosophical systems are. That's what you do. That's what I do.
Well, that's an assumption.
This is crazy.
Because foundationally, you're assuming it, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right, Andrew. Everything doesn't matter anything at all. And in fact, everything that you say doesn't matter. And none of your systems are justified. And it's all just arbitrary and silly.
So then if
that's what you're saying, too.
By your view, yeah. If that's the case...
So you're just as arbitrary and just as stupid, and we can't assume anything.
So if that's the case,
we shouldn't talk about anything. Why are we here?
Exactly.
Let each other finish, please.
So I just want to know, what now is the argument for me to impose Christian nationalism?
Let me ask that to you. What's your argument for it?
So when you're talking about Agrippa's trilemma, would you have any criticisms for this argument that you're making?
I can't solve it. That's the point of the dilemma.
Okay, so when you say that when I ask you, is Agrippa's trilemma true?
I can't solve it.
Is it true though?
Is a trolley problem true? Is Euthyphro's dilemma true? What are we doing right now?
Yeah, I think philosophically you can say that the conclusion is true or false.
No, Agrippa's trilemma isn't a conclusion. Agrippa's trilemma is a problem. It's a philosophical problem. Is Euthyphro's dilemma true?
Wait. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Agrippa's trilemma.
Yeah, it's a problem in the same way that Euthyphro's dilemma is.
Okay, so
is trolley problems true?
Walk me through Agrippa's dilemma. I'll make sure I understand it.
Okay, Agrippa's trilemma posits that no beliefs are justifiable foundationally because they will fail one of three ways: dogmatism, infinite regression, or circularity. And I'm saying, can you find me an example of a truth claim that doesn't fail Agrippa's trilemma?
Well, that sounds to me like you're positing propositions in a conclusion.
I'm giving you something similar to like a Euthyphro dilemma or a trolley problem to see if you can solve it logically.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with Agrippa's trilemma, which we're talking about.
It has everything to do with Agrippa's trilemma because you're asking if it's true, which is like asking me if trolley problems are true.
No, it's not.
Are trolley problems true?
If it's propositional, this sounds like propositional logic to me. You're actually giving me premises and a conclusion. Is the conclusion true?
This is not what's happening. It's a dilemma. Is the Euthyphro dilemma true?
Well, that's a whole different thing.
These are one-to-one comparison. Okay. This is the comparison I'm trying to make because I feel like you're not understanding what a dilemma is.
Write it out for me.
It says, so Munchausen trilemma is also known as Agrippa's trilemma. So I guess it's just a different name for it. Scroll back up.
Yeah, so see the three there?
Here, keep working on this. But the circular argument in which the proof of some proposition presupposes the truth of that very proposition, the regressive argument in which each proof requires a further proof ad infinitum, the dogmatic argument which rests on accepted precepts which are merely asserted rather than defended. The trilemma, then, is having to choose one of the three equally unsatisfying options.
Okay.
Hopefully you can read that. Sorry if you can't. Just tell me if you need me to rewrite something.
Circular argument, infinite regression, or dogmatism. So then, you believe in objective truth, right?
I believe in objective morals, yeah. And like scientific realism.
Are they objectively true? Morals?
Yeah. Well, objectively, like they exist outside of me.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, what makes it true?
I'm assuming.
So is everything you assume true?
No, but everything I assume is true because I'm really good at philosophy. How do you solve? All I'm asking. It has
nothing to do with me.
It does.
You don't believe.
So here's what's happening. It doesn't. How do you solve Euthyphro's dilemma?
Why do I need to solve your problem?
Because if I'm posing you Euthyphro's dilemma, a philosophical problem, you can't go, is the problem true?
I'm not even asking about that.
That's like sidestepping the conversation.
If you believe that this is correct, and you also believe that objective morality is correct.
Correct in the way that we're assuming Agrippa's trilemma. Correct in the way that like trolley problems are good at testing logic.
So we're just both making assumptions about everything?
Everyone is, well, that or you're infinitely regressing. Those are your two. Well, there's your circular reasoning, which is just tautology. So everyone's kind of doing tautology.
So we're just assuming God.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
How are you not?
So all of these things in philosophy are just going down to these three categories for you?
No, not these. These aren't categories. These are ways in which you're fallacious. Your thinking is fallacious. So it's saying all beliefs, all metaethics, normative frameworks are fundamentally unjustifiable because they can't solve for one of these three things. Thank you.
I see.
And I'm asking you, how do you solve for it?
I can't. I'm going to adopt it.
He's like, Euthyphro's dilemma. I don't know.
Hey.
Can't find an answer to it.
No. I'm going to adopt it. You're right. Okay. I'm just going to assume everything's true because I assume it.
That's fine, but now...
That's what you said.
Now you're in line with, like, So this is one of your issues.
That's what you said.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Welcome to my world, okay?
I'm in your world.
We're based over here,
Yeah.
okay? The issue is that I wouldn't go to secular people and be like, you don't have a moral ethical system because it's unjustifiable, because I already know that mine's unjustifiable. I'm assuming I'm doing dogmatism, and they're doing usually infinite regression.
So then
or they're being cowards and they're being like, oh, I don't know.
So then you can't make a justification for why I shouldn't pull out a machine gun and kill everybody.
These are not the same thing. You understand?
not?
Me? Yeah, so when I'm talking about foundational beliefs,
Yeah.
pop quiz, what's foundational? Do you know what foundationalism is?
Yeah, it's going to be the pillar in which the belief stands on.
Yeah, okay. So not all statements or beliefs
Thanks for the
are
pop quiz,
foundational.
by the way.
You're welcome. Well, I don't actually do pop quizzes. I usually
That's
ask
your whole
questions.
debate style, but go ahead.
It's not. Me knowing more information than you is not like some crazy maniacal tactic.
Well,
and in fact,
when we get to the point where you do,
well,
I know.
this is the issue, Andrew, is it speaks to your insecurity that when I ask you questions about whether or not you know something, I'm asking in genuine good faith because they're
Of course.
esoteric and I don't expect people to know them. But you take it as an insult to your pride or something like that. Of course, because you think I'm doing something maniacal when it's me asking you, do you know what Agrippa's trilemma is? Isn't to say, idiot. You don't know anything about Agrippa's trilemma? Why are you even talking about philosophy? It's for me to go, okay, if you don't, let me explain it to you, and then I'm curious how you would reason through it.
Yeah,
Right?
I would just reason that I'll adopt it, and anybody that I decide to impose my will on can't actually say that I'm unjustified.
Of course you can.
How?
Well, you wouldn't say that your foundations are unjustified, but they would say, for example, here's a list of evidences and arguments as to why I don't think
Yeah,
you
but
should
none
do
of those
this.
are justified. They're
Well,
all
you
going to
would
be
build
circular.
it off of tautologies.
So what?
Everything's built off of
Then
tautologies.
there's no justification. Tell me I can't do anything.
Wait, do you think math doesn't exist because...
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Math is tautological.
Oh my God.
Wait, do you not know that?
What is the justification?
quiz time. Do you know that math is
So how can you
tautological?
tell me? You see what I mean? Pop quiz.
Well,
Can you
I'm
tell
doing it
me-
now because you're just being ridiculous. Yeah.
Squirrel brain. Can you tell me?
I'm pretty focused.
Can you tell
Laser
me?
focused,
Tell
actually.
me how it is
Powerful.
then that you can create any justifications that anybody's ever doing anything wrong?
Logic and reason. You build on top of tautological axioms that seem reasonable based on kind of assumptions, but they seem reasonable, and you build upon an entire structure of world belief, which is
But
what
none of them are justified.
At a foundational level, no. All
No.
beliefs are unjustifiable.
Well, then you don't.
How do you solve dogmatism?
When you just told me then that I can't go to secular people and tell them that their beliefs are unjustified,
You can't and be consistent.
so then we should just throw philosophy out.
No.
Why not? It's not
Because-
justified. At a
because lots
foundational
of-
level, it's
because-
just a tautology that we make up,
because
right?
people accept tautologies because that's how you think about the world, right?
Okay.
Like math, we just accept tautologies in math. We have to because you have no starting point if you don't. So we assume these things and then we build on top of them. And then the beauty of things like math and science, in the case of science realism, is you can use math and these things to observe and test and see if you're actually mapping onto the correctness of the world.
I see.
Yeah.
So then, if
Using
I
inductive and deductive
if I
logic.
utilize the assumption that God is real, this
That's
would
dogmatism. Yeah.
yeah, this would satisfy you because you also use the assumption that God is real.
I'll just grant it, of course.
Okay,
I always
so
grant
then
axioms.
if that's the case, and we assume that God's real, and then we assume God's commands, and then we build our case off of that,
Yeah.
that's justified. As justified as something can be.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I don't know what we're arguing about. We'll just do that.
Well, we were arguing because you wouldn't answer Agrippa's trilemma and saying that it wasn't true and coping
No,
super
I was
hard about
asking
it.
you if it was true.
Well, we're arguing this because you were walking me along this thing and being like, secular
Yeah,
people have
but
no
I'm still
justifications
gonna get-
for their worldview.
I'm
And I
s-
went, well, we
yeah.
can go there, Andrew, but I'm just going to jump ahead to Agrippa's
Great,
trilemma.
but I still want to get back to the interrogation.
Okay, but
now.
your line of argumentation is going to fall apart because when you go, well, why are you assuming that this is good? I'll go, we're assuming it.
Okay, that's fine. But anyway, back to can we
Based.
get back to this now?
Sure.
Okay, so when we're talking about the issue of secularism,
Yeah.
or not secularism, I'm sorry, liberalism.
Wait.
Liberalism is what we're discussing here. So
okay.
we'll pull back up on the note since we went down that whole train of nonsense.
It's not nonsense. It's like foundational philosophy. Phil
okay.
101,
You're-
really. It's kind of important.
you're right.
And you
You're-
like to weaponize it for your dumb audience against mean people to innocent
Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans girls to be like, see, their belief system is justified. And it's like, no one says
Name
at
a single
foundational
time when I've
level.
done that.
Every time you were on the show.
Yeah, so give me, do you have one?
Yeah, when you debate any secular person, when you debated Charlie, when you debate Destiny, when you debated Naima, when you debated Xena, when you debated et cetera, et cetera.
No, my argument is
you
actually
usually go,
that
your
if
belief
you're-
system's unjustifiable.
No, that's a dire
and it's
thing.
like, your beliefs are
I do the
unjustifiable.
opposite. I start at the end. I just say if it's the case that it's just preferences, then you have absolutely no criticism for me imposing mine.
Well, most secular people, if they're good on philosophy, wouldn't say, well, it's not just preferences, right? It's some mixture of we use, if they're utilitarian, they would use utils.
These are all preferences.
Not really. These
Yeah,
are like,
really.
there's no more preferences than you preferring God.
That's my point.
But then all of this is empty.
That's right.
So your
So then
arguments
you
are,
would have-
but then you have to grant that your arguments are just as empty as theirs.
If that's the case, then you would have no room to criticize me for imposing my preferences.
Sure, we could, because then we could just use reason and logic and evidence of what seems to
Preferences?
benefit people.
Your preferences
Yeah,
versus my
I think
preferences?
it's reasonable to assume that I prefer that like people are well, like people experience less harm, right? I think that's a reasonable preference
Why?
to have because I want it.
Then it's perfectly reasonable for me to say no.
I didn't say it's unreasonable.
Then there's nothing to argue
Because
there.
you're insisting that they're unjustifiable while you are. And I'm saying, no, you're all unjustifiable, but both are actually reasonable. You can have your Christian preferences, but as a Christian, I'm fighting you and saying, actually, your preferences are icky and bad for the faith. Don't do it.
Got
Also,
it.
Jesus wasn't political, so you're
Got
kind
it.
of going against what Jesus taught.
So-
also bad to do.
Okay, so then back to this, when we're talking about liberalism and the system of liberalism, and you're appealing to consensus, right? If the consensus is that they want every third baby, which is just part of their like preferences, man, and they assume that it's fine, you can't actually critique that.
Of course you can. We do it all the time.
With what?
You could use utilitarianism, and you could say, actually, babies is bad because it makes a worse world. It harms that specific baby. It probably also harms the mother, which would actually decrease the amount of flourishing and increase the amount of harm, which is why I think it would be bad to do. That's what a utilitarian could say.
And then say, but you would say that
God doesn't like it when you kill babies unless he orders you to do it, like in the
right.
Amalekites.
And which one of you is right?
Well, we would have to fight. I mean, the issue is like
Yeah,
we have to
that's
assume
right.
at the
We'd
end
have
of the
to
level.
fight, right?
Yeah, and I would go, I think my argument's more reasonable. I wouldn't say my argument's more justifiable at a foundational level. This is what you do. You try to say, my beliefs are foundationally justified and yours are not, which is why I'm reasonable and you're not. It's like, that's not true.
Actually, I do the opposite.
No, you
I start at
definitely
the
don't do the
end of
opposite.
the argument
That-
and say I agree with you. It's all preferences.
Just because the chronology of how you get there is different, it doesn't change that this is the tactic that you typically utilize when you debate people.
No, listen, I'm doing the same thing with you. We're at the end now.
Yeah, you're like, I start at the end and I walk people all the way back
I'm not
to
even
their
walking
foundational
you back.
axioms.
I'm just asking
and
you
then I go,
this.
see how silly this is? I'm
just-
not silly. And I'm
I'm-
saying you're just
Yeah.
as unjustified.
I'm
but
just
there's
asking
reason that
you
you
a
can
single
utilize.
question here.
Yeah,
which
you would
is
use
that
reason and
is
logic.
consensus, when you're talking about consensus, that's how you want things to be, right?
Well, no, this is not an ought. Like a consensus isn't an ought. I think it's the best system that's arrived so far.
So when I
if
asked
you can make
you,
up a better one,
so
I'm
when I
down
asked
for
you
it.
earlier, this is an ought, and you said yes. That's not the case.
Well, there's a second part to what I was saying, I believe, at the time.
No, I asked you, is consensus how Christians ought do things? You said yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No.
I specifically wrote it
Okay,
down.
if I did, I didn't mean it.
You didn't?
No, I should have clarified. What do you actually want to ask here?
Yeah, so I want to just ask you about consensus. So if they want to every third baby, okay?
I would oppose this.
Yeah, but why would they be actually wrong?
I would, for example, in the case of a pagan, I would probably appeal to their own moral system. I think that most people, for example, I believe, you probably believe this too, that God gives us conscience, right? He like puts a spirit inside of us, that God's meta-ethical system emerges naturally out of us, right? So like what I would do, for example, is I would probably, first of all, try to examine that pagan's belief system. And I would be like, do you actually think babies is okay, right? I would actually morally question them. And one of the issues is that this is unobservable. We can't truly know whether somebody thinks something is wrong or right. But I think the knowledge of wrong or right is really important, kind of biblical, one might even say. So I would question whether or not they know it's wrong or right, and then I would appeal to things like state. So like civic ethics, for example. It doesn't work very well in nations to kill every third baby. You're just reducing your population. Usually the mothers don't like it. Usually the fathers don't like it. It doesn't seem to have any good outcome. In fact, most of the reasons why people in the past babies was to satisfy some sun god. And we would go, that's not an overly reasonable argument. It's probably more reasonable to say we shouldn't babies. That seems more reasonable. So I could appeal to them within their own worldview of secularism or their own worldview of paganism.
Sure, and
Yeah.
they say, we don't care.
Are they in my state?
No.
They're in another country?
Yeah, I'm just asking why they're wrong, why they're doing something wrong.
Why they're doing something wrong
Yeah,
to
why
me?
is that wrong? Yeah.
Because I think it's immoral to kill babies.
Why?
Because I think God doesn't like you to kill babies unless he orders it, like in the Amalekites.
Because you assumed that.
I assumed God, yep.
You assumed it. And so they assume
Well, I'm assuming God, yeah.
So they assume not God.
Yep.
And so they come to you and say, well, you're just assuming this anyway.
And I would say, so are you.
And then they would say, good, we're going to go back to babies. And the problem with that is
I
what?
would say, I'm going to use my language and quill to convince you that you're wrong and that there's a more compelling and better way to live. And I'm going to appeal to the spirit that I think God puts into all of us to try to pull out of you the fact that It's actually really bad.
I
That's what
see.
would do.
So if a Christian nationalist does that within a liberal system, they're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, so you guys can try to compel people to Christianity, but my issue isn't Christian.
No, we can compel ourselves to the will of the state. Why not? What's wrong with that?
Sorry.
I mean,
I
what
don't
do
know what
you
you're
mean?
saying right now.
If Christians take over the entire state, rewrite the entirety of the Constitution within your liberal framework,
They can in the liberal framework, but as a Christian, I think that they're being unchristian by doing
yeah,
so.
but who cares? You're just assuming it.
God cares, and I'm assuming that we're all
Yeah,
Christians.
but I assume God doesn't care.
I would question your Christian theology.
Oh, well, why? I just
Because
assumed it.
Scripture. Do you think that like logic, reason, evidence, Scripture doesn't exist outside of like foundations?
It doesn't matter. What
Of course it
matters
does.
is what I
Wait,
assume.
How would Scripture not matter when I'm talking to fellow
Because I
Christians?
just assume things.
Well, no, you don't just assume things.
Why not?
Oh, you're equivocating again. So what
How
you're
am I
doing?
equivocating?
Because you're saying assuming at a foundational. So when I say assume, I mean at a foundational axiomatic level.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing
My
as
axiom
assuming
is that I'm always right
That's
about
not an
everything.
axiom.
Why can't it be an axiom?
because it's not tautological.
I'm right because I'm right. That's a tautology.
Yeah. Now now I can go, oh, I don't think that's justified. And then I would prove you wrong.
Okay, but who cares? You just said nothing's justified.
Sorry, are we just doing like nihilism warp tour? Nobody should care. Nobody should care about. You granted me that even at Christianity, you granted me that your worldview is just as unimportant. So how do you make people
Because that makes my point, actually.
So
If it is
your
the
hands
case-
off. You're like, none of it matters. My system
Yeah,
is just as
if it is
unjustifiable
the
and assumed
case,
as
now I
everyone else's.
at least understand what you're saying. So great. If it's the case,
Took
if it's
2
the
hours
case-
and 15 minutes.
Let him get
yeah,
through
if
it.
it's the
that's fine.
case that we're just assuming the worldview at a foundational level, and it's an axiom I'm right because I'm right, now we have a tautology, then there's actually no good reason for me not to assume that I'm just right about reforming liberalism after my own image.
So reason can be it includes things like inductive and deductive logic. This is the stuff that we build off of our axioms, right?
Can.
Well, that's what we do. That's what all philosophical systems are. That's what you do. That's what I do.
Well, that's an assumption.
This is crazy.
Because
Okay.
foundationally, you're assuming it, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right, Andrew. Everything doesn't matter anything at all. And in fact, everything that you say doesn't matter. And none of your systems are justified. And it's all just arbitrary and silly.
So then if
that's
that's-
what you're saying, too.
By your view, yeah.
No. You granted my view. You said, I'll grant you Agrippa's
How?
trilemma.
Yeah.
No.
But that would,
This is our
yes,
view now,
I'm
baby. You said you're
yes.
joining me. You're in the Agrippa's trilemma
and
acceptance state,
and
okay?
In fact, then, if that's
So
the case,
you're just as arbitrary
sure.
and just as
So if
stupid,
that's-
and we can't assume
so,
anything.
So if that's the case,
we shouldn't
then-
talk about anything. Why are we here?
Let
Exactly.
each other finish, please.
So I just want to know.
Well,
then,
you're in my worldview.
what
How
would
are you
the-
solving that
What
now?
would the
Let him finish,
argument?
please.
What now is the argument for me to impose Christian nationalism?
Let me ask that to you. What's your argument for it?
Because I want to.
You're just assuming that.
'Cause I
though.
want to.
Yeah, but you're just assuming.
That it's a tautology,
That doesn't
so I'm
make it
supposed
right.
to.
That doesn't make it right.
exactly. So it's fine to do.
So why are you saying that it's an ought statement?
Wait a second. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so why is it an ought statement?
Because I want it to be. Because I assume it.
Okay, so your system is wholly unjustifiable. There's no reason why Christians should do it. They're just like moving on vibes
And there's no
preference.
reason for Christians not to do it,
Okay.
right?
I believe in I'm a foundationalist. So I believe in.
Yeah, but you assume your foundations can't be justified.
Everyone assumes foundations. You've already granted me this.
Then if that's the case, then who cares what your foundation
Because in
is?
philosophy, we typically ground foundations to some extent.
We don't do anything in philosophy. I don't know what you do with philosophy, but
Okay, Mr. Philosopher. In any level of respected philosophy, we assume
which respected philosophers are you
Aristotle,
referencing?
Plato, Socrates. What are some modern ones that I can think of?
What did Socrates?
Heidegger.
Socrates assumed that
Yes.
you couldn't justify anything.
Well, no. Sort of. What we do is we grant assumptions because we understand that at a foundational level, they're all unjustified.
All you did was destroy the possibility for there to be objective morality. That's it.
Nope, because I think God exists.
Yeah, but you just assume it.
So, but non-Christians also assume that he doesn't exist.
Yeah, so then if they have an anti-moral realist position,
I would
you-
use logic and reason to compel them as to why
well,
I'm correct.
okay, let's assume for a second I'm a moral anti-realist.
Mm-hmm.
Use logic and reason to compel me when you tell me that your whole worldview is just assumed.
Sorry. You really love that assumed word. Can you rephrase that in a way that's coherent?
That was coherent, but I'll do it
Okay,
again.
let's assume it wasn't.
Foundationally,
Let's assume.
I'm a moral anti-realist.
Okay.
Your moral foundations are assumed and not justified.
And I would say, how do you solve Agrippa's trilemma?
No. You told me, the moral anti-realist, that.
Yeah. And then the anti-realist goes, well, your opinions are just assumed, right? And I go, yeah. How do you solve Agrippa's trilemma?
Why would they need to? They're anti-realists.
So even
you just destroyed the possibility for objective morality, erudite.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, even subjectivists fail Agrippa's trilemma. They fail by infinite regression.
Okay, again, who cares?
You forgot about that one, didn't you?
That doesn't hurt my argument.
Yes, it does.
If I'm an anti-realist, a moral anti-realist, I say there are no moral facts. And that is completely and totally in line with Agrippa's trilemma.
So Agrippa's trilemma would say, how do you solve for infinite regression?
Why would I need to?
Because it's a fallacy.
So thinking's a fallacy?
No, infinite regression's a fallacy.
Okay, but everything's going to reduce to an infinite regress, right?
So what comes before thinking?
Well, that would be transcendentals would come before thinking.
Okay, what comes before that?
Well, we would make the justification of God, right?
So you're assuming, no, secular anti-realists would not assume God.
You.
No, not me.
You don't assume God?
I do assume God,
so
but we were talking about moral anti-realists. Andrew, respectfully, I don't think you're ready for this conversation.
No, I'm having a good time with this one.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that me, the moral anti-realist, right, that you are telling me that objective morality is real, right?
Mm-hmm. And I would use reason and logic and argumentation, and I would build off of my foundational axioms that a good faith moral anti-realist would just grant me. So they'd be like, well, why do you believe God? And I'm like, I just assume him. And they're like, okay, well, I can't really contend with that. It's just assumed. And then I build my entire case for why I think morals are objective, because I think God instilled them outside of us and that they are in every person. And I would say, you can see this in the universal ways in which morals consistently emerge. We see this trajectory of humankind moving towards greater and greater moral systems, right? Free speech and respecting one another and treating everyone kindly. And what you'll notice most importantly is not only are those morals objective, but they're the Christian ones, because God is real. My God specifically is real. That's how I would do that argumentation.
Okay, so are there moral facts?
Yeah, yes.
And are they just assumed?
At a foundational level.
Okay, so then any moral facts that I assume at a foundational level are equivalent to any moral facts you assume at a foundational level?
No, not equivalent. I didn't say these are all equivocal.
What would make them different?
My use of inductive and deductive logic is better. I use better reason. I have more evidence for my claims.
Hang on. What does better mean here?
Better means like more coherent, more consistent, like
but
logical
why is
things
that
we
better?
value. Because it seems to produce better thinking. It seems to work
that's a
alongside.
tautology.
Yes,
it's better because it's better.
Yeah, tautologies.
Yeah.
Welcome to philosophy.
Yeah,
Andrew.
so then I just want to make sure. So you're just going to endlessly be in a case of infinite regress and tautology?
Sweet of you. I appreciate that.
And then there's no moral facts, or just assumed?
Just let me pour my energy drink that Brian respectfully, and then we'll get back into you really struggling with philosophy.
Oh, I'm having a struggle. That's true.
You are.
This has been very difficult for me. I agree.
I mean, hey, you've at least accepted the reality that your beliefs are just as unjustified as everyone else that you mock, which is great.
So might makes right.
No.
Yeah, it does. Yes, why wouldn't it?
Because of things like coercive power versus legitimate authority.
Who cares about that? You're just assuming it.
No. So again,
at its foundation, whatever arguments you have
do you think
are
like all of this
assumed.
around me just doesn't exist because I'm assuming it?
Wait. Material things?
Yeah.
Is philosophy material?
Yeah, it can be.
How?
Pragmatism is often.
How?
Pragmatism?
Yeah, how's
it's often
it material?
interested in like material effects.
That's not material. You're just saying what it's.
I am so sorry. Hold on.
Party foul.
You were so sweet to remind me, and then I destroyed your tech.
Yikes.
Did we get all the tech out of the way?
Can we get paper towels? Yeah, just pass them to Kyla there. A little spillage. It's okay. Here. No. It's all good. I'll take care of it. You guys continue with the debate. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Let's get on your stream deck first, though, so it doesn't get any wet.
Yeah. Here, let me take care of it, though. You guys can continue on with the conversation. It's all good.
I'm so sorry about
It's okay. I'll continue.
So,
when I knocked that over, did that happen materially, or did we just all assume that it happened?
well, I would say that happened in material reality.
Oh, and so how do we think about that? Like, how do we decide that actually it fell because of gravity versus like God trying to push it down?
We would probably run an experiment or something like
Yeah,
this.
we would use like reason and logic to build up a belief system.
Well, the thing is, though, is like
You
that
really
wouldn't
don't
make
like that
that
you're
wouldn't
feeling
make
this.
philosophy material.
So not all of philosophy, like the art of loving wisdom, isn't material, but it commentates on materialism.
Yeah,
all the
but you
time.
just said it was material.
Well, parts of it can be material. Yeah.
Which parts?
The part that is your brain thinking about things.
So,
Is your brain not material?
okay, so is the
Could I have this
philosophy-
conversation if I
is
didn't
the
have a brain?
philosophy itself material? Or is
no.
the brain material?
The brain's material.
Okay, so then not the philosophy again.
I don't know why you think that this is a dunk. Saying
not-
that
I'm not
philosophy,
trying to dunk.
I said philosophy can engage in the material, of course.
But you said.
And then I said, for
you said it
example,
was
one of the
material.
schools is pragmatism.
Yeah, but that's not material.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
You won.
That's all.
You're so smart, Andrew. You got me.
I don't know. No, hey, you're way better at this than me. Help me out, though. I'm actually fine kind of staying right here.
So you accept that your belief system is just as unjustifiable.
Oh, sure. Especially for the purpose of this
Do you
conversation.
actually? No, not for the purpose of this conversation. Don't be like bad faith and
That's not
presume
bad faith.
It is bad faith to presume things that you don't actually believe.
That's
don't
not bad faith.
Do not purport to me that you believe in things that you don't believe. That is definitionally bad faith.
How?
By self-delusion or self-deception, or in this case, explicit deception, saying, yeah, I believe this. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You literally don't.
Got it.
Or do you?
Do I what?
Do you believe that Agrippa's trilemma means that all...
You convinced me.
Okay, so now I don't know what to do with this. I guess falling into snark is your way of solving your bad
How
philosophy.
am I falling into some snark?
Because you are either being genuine
You convinced me.
and rude.
You convinced me all moral foundations are completely unjustified. And since all moral foundations are completely unjustified, any facts we build off of those are not going to be justified.
Well, they're not going to be axiomatically justified, but they can be reasonable and coherent.
So they're still unjustified.
Yeah, but we seem to value these things that seems to produce good outcomes.
Yeah, but
It
you
seems to build a
could
better
never
society.
say we seem. It seems to me like that men could collectivize and just stuff them in cages too. That seems to me like a possibility.
Sure, the issue is that other men wouldn't like that because men aren't a class.
A lot of men would love it. They did it for years. Half the world and half the women. What do you mean?
Okay, men also freed a lot of, right?
And they also enslaved them.
Okay.
And so who cares? It's like, if that's the case, if all it is a reduction to the idea that there are no moral facts.
Things that are unjustifiable does not mean that things don't matter.
Well, it means that there's no moral facts.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, because you have to assume.
You're assuming there's moral facts.
Yep.
Do you know what a fact is?
Yeah.
What is it?
A fact is something that is real and true.
Okay, so you're making a truth claim.
Yeah, I'm making a truth claim that God exists and that he has made a real objective world with real objective moral systems. Are you not doing the same thing?
And you're assuming it.
Are you not doing the same thing?
I am. I'm here, baby. I'm right here with you.
So what, do you think that you can't state moral facts now?
I think that anything that I would state as being a moral fact now becomes unjustified. And since it's unjustified, I can do whatever the I want.
Okay.
And there can be no actual objection to that now. We've destroyed all possibility for objective morality now.
No, because people have accepted that Agrippa's trilemma exists for a long time, and we
So?
still object one another. Because
So
whether
what?
or not, so you and I assume the
Those
same
aren't
things.
moral facts anymore. You don't have moral facts. You just have assumptions.
Sure you do, because God exists. We're assuming that God exists.
No. That's an assumption.
It has to be.
Then if it is and has to be, there are no moral facts.
Nope, that's incorrect because we're assuming moral objectivity.